Hello and welcome to the 2025 E-Ink Note-Taking Awards, or as we like to call it, the ENAs. This is the second edition of this award show, so we're really excited to see all the changes that have taken place since we did this award show a year ago, what devices were able to defend their titles, and what new devices have come on the scene and been worthy of winning an award. All that we're going to find out in this video. Now, before we get into it, just a few ground rules to keep in mind. The first one is, of course, only devices with E-Ink screens are being considered for these awards. No LCD screens, no reflective LCD screens, or any other type of technology, just E-Ink. The second thing is that there has to be a note-taking functionality with the device, particularly with the stylus. So that excludes things like e-readers that only are there for reading. This is really about the note-taking experience with reading supplemental to that. And then the last caveat to keep in mind, perhaps the most interesting, is that you cannot have the same device winning multiple awards. You will see devices mentioned, say as honorable mentions, multiple times, but only one winner per device. And I think that's appropriate. It keeps it interesting, and I think it'll make sense when it all comes together. So those are the ground rules. So having said all that, let's go ahead to our first award. So our award show begins with the best entry-level device. Now, a year ago, this was won by the MobiScribe Wave. Since then, there really hasn't been many participants vying for this category. In fact, there are no honorable mentions at all. And actually, to take it even further, this year's winner of the best entry-level device, a repeat champion, the MobiScribe Wave Black and White Edition. Why? Well, let's just start with the price, the most obvious thing. Right now, you can get this for just under $120 from the MobiScribe website. True, that does not come with a cover, but it does come with the device and the stylus. Now, while you might think that a device that cheap isn't very good as it comes to writing, you'd be incorrect. The note-taking app is surprisingly sophisticated for its price. And of course, the price now isn't the original price. This is a deep discount, as the MobiScribe has been out for a number of years now. Just some examples of things you can do with the note-taking app. You've got layers, you've got handwriting to text conversion, and so much more. So even though it's an entry-level device, and it's certainly not a premium device, I wouldn't call it entry-level performance. I would call it something a little bit better than that. And at this price point, it's frankly quite amazing. If you think about it, there's a huge gap between e-readers and e-note-taking devices. And so there's not a lot of players, obviously, that play in that space that kind of bridge the gap between those two general price points. But this device does so, and actually does so at a small increase over more premium e-readers. Now, having said that, that $120 is just as of this filming, and it's pretty clear at this point that MobiScribe is leaving Western markets. They seem to be focusing more on their Asian markets going forward, so it's not clear how much longer the MobiScribe Wave will be available for sale. In fact, I don't think this is going to be a three-time champion. I suspect that before the year's out, the device will be sold out in the United States. Indeed, if you go to Amazon.com, you can no longer buy the black and white variant, although you can the color, but you can't buy the color in the MobiScribe site. So that gives you a sense that the days of these devices are numbered. But if you're looking for an entry-level device, a device to make that leap from an e-reader to an e-note-taker, this is the one, and that's why it wins the Best Entry-Level Device Award. All right, so the next award is the Best Dedicated Note-Taker Award. So what this means is what device has the most professional note-taking tools. It might do other things. It might allow for apps. It might have a great reading experience. But that's not the focus here. We're looking at if you had one device that focused on note-taking, what device would that be? Last year's winner was the SuperNote A5X. The honorable mention for this award the device that almost won the award is the Books Go 10.3. That's a device that came out almost a year ago toward the end of June and really took the market by storm. It was really the beginning of, in a sense, of the next generation of devices to be released in 2024. But it wasn't quite enough to supplant this year's award winner, which goes to the SuperNote Manta. The SuperNote Manta is easily the most professional tool for note-taking out there. This year's device, as opposed to last year's winner, came in thinner, a little bit easier to hold thanks to smoother edges, and although it doesn't sound like much, significantly it has a second slide bar, which just adds more functionality to the device than before. Is it an essential upgrade for people with the SuperNote A5X? Perhaps not. But for people making a choice between the two, you would definitely go with the SuperNote Manta. It's easily the best note-taking tool out there, and that's why it wins this year's award, despite that stiff competition from the Books Go 10.3. The next award is for the best reading and annotating device, and the focus is a little bit more on annotations here. What device allows you to take books and to write on them, to share your notes, either in the book itself or off to the side? And last year's award winner was the Kobo Ellipsa 2E. This year's honorable mention goes to Kobo's most bitter rival, the Kindle Scribe. Kindle released a new edition of their Scribe this year, and while the hardware is good as it has been in the past, it's really the change in software, the ability to write in text and then have that text wrap around your handwriting. We've never seen this type of technology in annotations, and it's really that AI technology itself that is what's so impressive this year and may have been the most impressive innovation in e-ink note-taking. And that's why that earns the Kindle Scribe our honorable mention for this year's awards. But the winner goes to a different device, the Books Go 10.3. The Books Go 10.3 not only features that native reading app inherent in all books devices, that reading app that can read the most file types of any manufacturer, that has the most ways to do annotations, either through the stylus or through highlighting or underlining or what have you. It has all of that in one of the most inexpensive packages for a premium device, selling under $400 when it was first released. The Books Go 10.3 was an amazing device. We've already seen it as an honorable mention in a previous award, and I think we're going to see it as an honorable mention again. But for this category, reading and annotations, it takes home the prize. Now we move on to the more overall awards. These are devices that for their size classes combine both reading and writing, as well as other aspects in some cases, to deliver the best overall package. Now there's been a trend this year of working in the 7-inch space. And the 7-inch space is a really tight space for note-taking. And so none of those devices were considered for award winners because of that fact. Great e-readers perhaps, but just not the real estate to win an award in the small category. Now, last year's winner was the Bigme S6 Color Plus Lite. This year, an honorable mention goes out to a new entrant into the marketplace, and that's the Viwoods Mini, which was an 8-inch device, which combined both great note-taking as well as access to the Google Play Store. Although initially upon release, there was a limited number of apps, that Google Play Store functionality was added later and is therefore considered as part of these awards. As great as the Viwoods Mini is, really an extraordinary newcomer that isn't even a year old on the market and yet still gets an honorable mention, it wasn't quite enough to win this year's award. This year's award actually goes to last year's champion, the Bigme S6 Color Plus Lite. The price point of this device is simply too good for what it delivers, which is a color Kaleido 3 reading experience coupled with a competent, certainly not best in class, not even as good as the Viwoods Mini, but still competent note-taking device. This was a very tough one. But in the end of the day, because of the ability for color to work well with comics, to look well with novel covers and nonfiction covers and what have you for magazines, the Big Me was just able to hold on to the award. Our next award is for the best mid-sized device. And this is probably the most popular category for its balance of screen size as well as its price point. Last year's winner for this award was the Books Air 3, the black and white variant of their very popular model line. The honorable mention for this year's award goes to the Books Go 10.3, which we've already mentioned a number of times on this video already, but it was such a good device, it is really considered for a number of these awards and deserves those accolades. But in the end, it wasn't the winner. The winner was a device that came out of nowhere. It started off as a remarkable competitor, but it's been developing quite a bit since then, and I'm referring to the Viwoods AI paper. This almost 11-inch device combined the simplicity of what Remarkable has with the addition of the Google Play Store and other functionality. In many ways, the device that we all wish the Remarkable 2 would eventually evolve into, but just never seemed to be able to do. Viwoods came into the marketplace, a very crowded marketplace, and really made a name for itself in a very short period of time. And they're very well deserving of this award, and they continue to innovate month after month after month with new updates. Viwoods is potentially the most exciting player in this space over this past year, and they haven't even been out for a year yet. That's how amazing it is, and for that reason, the Viwoods AI paper wins the Best Mid-Sized Device Award. So now our focus turns to the best large device. And last year, there just wasn't a lot of competition for this category. And the Books Tab X was the eventual winner. And a very good device, despite that lack of competition. Things have changed this year, and there are a couple of great entrants to consider. This year's honorable mention goes to one of those, the Remarkable Paper Pro. The Remarkable Paper Pro came on the scene revitalizing the color E-Ink version known as Gallery 3, which everyone thought had been dead. In addition to that, it introduced a whole new size category and brought with it a keyboard folio for those willing to spend just a little bit more. As impressive a device as the Remarkable was, though, it doesn't end up winning this year's award. And instead, that winner goes to the Books Note Max. The Books Note Max broke the rules by giving a 13-inch device that sold for $650, when normally those types of devices sell $800 or $900, if not more. But you didn't see compromises in the device as you saw compromises in the price. It's an amazing device, thin for its size, an incredible use of the screen that's fantastic for both reading as well as note-taking. Just an extraordinary device, released by Books only going back to January of this year. So for that reason and all the great software that Books provides in this wonderful form factor, the Books Note Max wins Best Large Device of 2025. And all that leads us to our final award, the Best Overall Device. This is the device to get, and this was a crowded field to be sure. Last year's winner was the Books Note Air 3C, a really amazing device that probably brought the best of all worlds in a very competitively priced package. We have a couple honorable mentions for this award for this year. The first goes to the Supernote Manta, a device that won an award earlier for Best Dedicated Note Taker, and just an amazing device overall. Not a large app selection, although you can certainly sideload apps onto the device, but a fantastic note-taking experience native, and it still does come with the Kindle app. A solid device overall, and one worthy of consideration for this award. And sitting next to it is another winner, our best mid-size, the Viwoods AI paper. Again, a device that came out of nowhere, with an incredibly impressive screen, with a really nice, engaging note-taking experience that's easily accessible and is getting better every month. But neither of those devices won the award in the end. And instead, the device that won the award, technically a new device, but arguably a repeat champion, is the Boox Note Air 4C. The Boox Note Air 4C simply took everything that the 3C did and added just a little bit more to the package. It has all the same great features as the 3C, the same competitive price, and just does everything so well that it had to win this award. So those are your 2025 ENAs. Just an amazing field. It's been an amazing year. And not only the winners, but the honorable mentions all were fantastic devices that I've enjoyed reviewing and using throughout the year. If you want to get into more depth on any of these devices, I have full reviews on almost all of them linked in the description, so you can certainly get into much more detail there. And those review videos often have links to other videos which even go into further detail, so you won't have a lack of information if you're hoping to learn more. This year's award show was amazing to put together. I had a really great time, and I hope that you did too. And I'm sure, as with any award show, there'll be agreements and disagreements. I want to hear all about that in the comments, and we'll just see where the dialogue goes from here. But from my experience, the awards that we've given out tonight really do reflect the best of E-Ink note-taking as it exists at this time. And it's been an amazing year, and I think those awards and those devices reflect that. I hope you had a great time, and until I see you next time, have a great day.